Well, hello everyone, welcome back to Dual Destinies. Previously, we reached the threshold. We're heading into court in the fifth and final case of the game. And Edgeworth has our back. It's so good to see that guy again. And, well, from where I'm standing, it feels up in the air. I could see it going either way. Maybe there'll be another set of investigation and trial phases, or this could be it. It's honestly hard to say, but no matter what, I'm excited to get into this. So, here we are. Let's get in there. December 20th, 3:11 p.m., District Court. Defendant Lobby number 5. Shouldn't be Lobby 4 for Courtroom 4? I'm not an architect.
I did a little research. I looked into those special cyclocks you mentioned, Mr. Nick.
You did? That's great. I really appreciate it.
A red cyclock protects a secret a person is consciously trying to hide. If the person folds under questioning, the lock breaks and the truth comes out.
Yep, that's exactly how I got the truth out of Detective Fulbright and Director Cosmos.
But a black cyclock protects a secret from the deepest place in a person's heart. A secret that the person isn't even consciously aware of.
Dude, I theorized exactly this. Wow. I am so smart. Give me a medal. Pat me on the back. I'm waiting. So even if they don't know it's there.
Athena isn't trying to keep anything from you on purpose. For some reason, part of her heart and her memories are sealed off, even from herself.
Okay, so all I have to do is break the cyclocks.
According to my research, a black cyclock is like a heavy chain wrapped directly around one's heart. If they are ripped off by force, it could cause permanent damage to a person's soul.
In other words, if I'm not careful, I could traumatize Athena for good. Gulp. Pearls, could you stay by Athena's side? She must be suffering under the weight of such a heavy burden.
All right. But will you be all right by yourself, Mr. Nick?
I'm up against Edgeworth. I have to be able to give this trial all of my focus and strength.
And you can't do that if I'm there. I'll just hold you back.
That's what I thought he was meaning. No, that's not it. I just meant I can relax and concentrate if I knew you were with Athena. Good save. You're the only one who can do it, Pearls.
All right. I'll do it then. Good luck, Mr. Nick.
Good. Now that my mind is at ease, I better get ready. I'll just tidy up the evidence and take out what I don't need. Oh! It's time to end this nightmare that started 7 years ago. Defense, prosecution, and judge. There are even people in the gallery. The roof has been completely blown off and the walls have collapsed. But today, this ruin is my battleground. All rise. They give the robot little crates to stand on. Oh my god, okay, we're doing this. Hot damn. Court, or some facsimile thereof, is now in session for the trial of Athena Sykes.
Not a facsimile, old man. This is a proper official trial. Take this more seriously or you'll start hearing the bones of the hostages snap.
Please try not to upset Miss Blackquill. I'm begging you. Court is now in session for the very serious and very proper trial of Athena Sykes. He's doing the animation. he's doing the thing. He did that in the Sprite games too. He did it. I saw it.
This is no trial. It's nothing more than a ridiculous farce. Well, what did you say?
Edgeworth, did you not hear what I just said to His Honor?
However, this ridiculous farce has a very important meaning for our legal system. Recall the case of the UR1 incident, in which a prosecutor was found guilty of murder. That case ushered in the odious dark age of the law.
How can an age stink? Okay, there, I said it. God, you won't let me live that down, will you? Odious does not mean stinky. I got it, I understand these days.
I see what you're after. If we can find the real truth behind that case today.
Precisely. The darkness will be dispelled, and glory shall be restored to the court system. Prosecutor Edgeworth, you sound as if you know something of this truth.
I do indeed. A new suspect has emerged in the UR1 case. For 7 years, Simon Blackquill has refused to speak in order to cover for someone else.
Brace yourself, Phoenix. Here it comes.
I'm sorry, Wright, but the situation is what it is, and I must do what I must. The prosecution moves to indict Athena Sykes on the count of murder in the first degree.
I know he means well.
Regardless the circumstance, I intend to question the defendant with all I have. For that is a part of my creed.
Then you'd better bring it.
If the two of you are ready. Court is now in session for the trial of Athena Sykes.
Your Honor, the defense was born ready.
The prosecution is also ready.
This is so over the top. Is that the first time we've heard the voice acting for the judge? That's cool. I'm still going to use my same old voices, though. This immense tension between us. It's like we're picking up right where we left off.
It's my duty to clear Prosecutor Blackquill of false accusations and end this insanity.
But I have no intention of losing Miss Sykes either. She's a very promising young lawyer. I know without a doubt that Athena is innocent. But I don't think Prosecutor Blackquill did it either. So, do you have any clue who was responsible for the sabotage? At the very least, I know it wasn't Simon Blackquill. I don't know enough to identify the true culprit, but it's clear what that person is. To put it simply, a spy. The true culprit is a spy. It's going to be hard to convince anyone of that when I barely believe it myself. I don't have a choice if I want to save Athena and Blackquill and expose the spy. Now then, Chief Prosecutor Edgeworth. No need for the Chief Prosecutor bit, Your Honor. I am here as a simple prosecutor. Why'd he take off his glasses? Very well. Your opening statement, please, Prosecutor Edgeworth. Although I've been known of late to give an impressive opening statement myself. In all the trials I have ever seen, only the prosecution gives an opening statement. Of course, you're right. I was just joking. Just having a little fun. So he wasn't doing them just out of fear. Interesting. Let's start with a brief overview of the UR1 incident. The incident occurred at the Cosmos Space Center 7 years ago on October 7th. The victim, psychologist Meta Sykes, was killed in the robotics lab on the 4th floor. Athena's mother. Simon Blackquill, a young prosecutor at the time, was found guilty of the crime. There were 2 deciding factors that led to his guilty verdict. 1. Blackquill was the only person in the corridor to the lab at the time of the murder. And 2, this photo, which captured the moment of the crime. You know, there is another entrance to that lab, and it's via the emergency ladder. There's gotta be a reason that Simon's standing in front of the emergency ladder in this photograph. That window opens up. Someone could have come and gone. Very incriminating evidence indeed. It would appear that the only conclusion is that Prosecutor Blackquill did indeed.
Are you kidding me? I'm not accepting any conclusion of the kind. This opening statement is over. Now hurry up and call the witness.
Excuse me, Miss Blackquill, but we must follow proper procedure for these things, you know.
Or perhaps we should heed her wishes, Your Honor. She is the trial's sponsor, after all. Besides, the courtroom is chilly and sitting for too long can't be good for your back.
Oh, you are very kind to show such concern for the welfare of the elderly.
As skilled as ever at playing the court puppeteer, I see. The prosecution calls its first witness. A witness who decided to bring forth new testimony after 7 long years. New testimony? Just who is this witness, anyway?
Bobby! Bobby Fulbright is here. Oh. That's not what he says. God, I can't separate the image of him with All Might. God damn it. Bobby Fulbright's the name, and justice we trust.
What are you doing here?
I'm just here to speak for the hostage taker, Miss Ara Blackquill. She says she's too busy, what with confining and threatening the hostages and all.
That doesn't seem to stop her from constantly chiming in through Klonko. I'm nothing more than an observer in this. Do your best. I'm watching you. Believing her brother innocent, Miss Blackquill has been conducting her own investigation. And though her current actions are hardly lawful, I think we can at least hear her theory.
I have here Miss Blackwill's notes on the investigation she conducted. And I'll be giving testimony based on these notes. Here I go. Simon isn't the murderer. He was trying to cover for someone. Someone else was at the scene at the time they say Simon committed the murder. I mean, if he really was out to steal that moon rock, then why the rolling case?
What? Rolling case?
Because he was using it to hide someone inside, that's why. And the only person small enough to fit inside that case was Athena Sykes. And that's Miss Blackwill's theory. It totally goes in the face of the official ruling, huh? About the case she mentions, there were other rolling cases like that one in the lab. But they're not for traveling, they're apparently for moving parts and equipment.
I vaguely remember seeing 3 cases, all different sizes.
At the last trial, they thought that Prosecutor Blackquill used the case to steal the rock. And they had a perfectly good reason to think that too. You see, there's a security camera in the corridor that leads to the robotics lab. And that camera captured footage of Blackquill leaving the scene with the case. Huh.
I can see why that footage helped to bring his trial to a quick end. It's very convincing, that's for sure.
That case, by the way, was later discovered outside, on the Space Center grounds. Speaking of after the incident, where was the defendant Athena Sykes found? She was found on the 5th floor of the Space Center in the Sykes family residence. Prosecutor Blackquill most likely brought her there after the incident. In addition, it's unknown where Miss Sykes was at the estimated time of death. Miss Sykes was too confused by the shock of her mother's death to give proper testimony, and there was no witness or evidence to tell us where she might have been. So what you're saying is, Miss Sykes didn't have an alibi? That is what the evidence is saying, yes. I understand the reasoning behind the theory, but I'm far from convinced. The victim is the accused's mother. Are you actually claiming an 11-year-old girl? Of course, the girl had a very strong motive. Dr. Sykes was a psychologist who wrote many papers about speech and emotions. You're aware of Athena Sykes' special ability, aren't you, Your Honor? Are you referring to that therapy thing? Yeah, she's done it quite a few times in court. The ability to read emotions from speech, and the subject of her mother's research. Well, as long as it benefits society, I don't see any particular problem researching it. I don't like where this is heading. Not one bit. Dr. Sykes was so intent on her research, she forced her daughter to undergo experiments. Prosecutor Edgeworth, are you seriously suggesting? I've done my best to be delicate, but even you can't deny it to be true, Mr. Wright. No longer able to withstand the anguish of the experiments, Miss Sykes felt her only choice was to kill her own mother. Ah! No. I don't believe Edgeworth actually believes that. He's just greasing the wheels. Order in the court. What a tragic story. I hardly want to believe it myself. But we must proceed. Mr. Wright, if you could, Detective Fulbright, please refer to the notes. Cross-examination. Begin. Simon isn't the murderer. He was trying to cover for someone.
Hold it!
So Prosecutor Blackquill willingly accepted a death sentence to protect someone else? Yes, that is precisely what Miss Blackquill appears to believe. And that is what I believe as well. Prosecutor Blackquill is no murderer, Mr. Wright. But Athena Sykes certainly didn't kill anyone either, Mr. Edgeworth. So it appears neither of us can afford to go easy on the other. Fine, I expected no less. Oh, I remember this tense atmosphere. It's so invigorating. I'm only reading notes here, but yeah, I feel extra invigorated too, so let's keep going. Someone else was at the scene at the time they say Simon committed the murder.
Hold it!
But that's just speculation.
Objection!
No, Miss Blackquill has proper grounds for her claims.
Objection!
Then why didn't you say so in the first place?
Objection!
They're really getting into this. You're the one who screamed, "Hold it," and cut me off. Fine, so maybe I jumped the gun by a teeny-weeny bit. Now I know what they mean when they say close enough to argue. Moving on. I mean, if he really was out to steal that moon rock, then why the rolling case?
Hold it!
This rolling case, I suppose you mean the one that existed in the photo with Prosecutor Blackquill in it, but was absent when the crime scene photos were taken. Ah, the largest case on the left. Yes, that's the one. and Miss Blackquill has drawn a conclusion from these two photos. She has? And what is that conclusion? You're the one with her notes. Oh, right, of course. Reading them now. So why the rolling case? Because he was using it to hide someone inside, that's why.
Hold it!
And how do you propose he hid a person inside one of those cases? Have you forgotten that we saw just such a thing only the other day? At your own daughter's magic show, she fit a grown person into a small box. They attended Trucy's magic show together? Oh, that's darling! Oh yeah, way to ruin the memory of a good day. A magic show? I wish you could have thought to invite me. Actually, I would have liked to go too. My apologies. I'll invite you both next time, I promise. I need to see fan art of this. So, wait a minute, what were we talking about again? Prosecutor Blackquill was using the case to hide someone. And the only person small enough to fit inside that case was Athena Sykes.
Hold it!
But that's nothing more than conjecture, and it's hardly the only possibility. In that case, what do you think Prosecutor Blackquill had in that case? I think it was the moon rock.
Objection!
There were 3 cases at the scene, but Prosecutor Blackquill used the largest one. The moon rock was egg-shaped and only about 8 inches in diameter. It wouldn't have made any sense to use the largest case there just to move that rock.
Objection!
Be that as it may, it doesn't prove Miss Sykes was inside. Then let me ask you this. Can you come up with a better theory of what was in the case? Well, Mr. Wright, can you? Yikes. Give a guy some time to think. Let's see, should I try to bluff my way through what could have been in that case? I have learned that bluffing against Edgeworth seldom works. Alright. Something about yay high. It could have been Ponko. The severed arm was on the table. It could have been Ponko, maybe. Ponko would be small enough. Yeah, okay, so... Hold on. Oh, you know what? I never noticed that white cloth draped on the floor. It's like a unfolded napkin. But, so hear me out. So, Ponko's broken arm was on that table, which kind of implies Ponko may have been in that room, and Dr. Metis was, repairing Ponko at the time. And Ponko wasn't found in the room when investigators came to look around. Maybe Ponko was in that chair, and Blackquill carried Ponko out of it, out of the room, and... I have a theory. I think I have a pretty valid theory. The problem is I don't think I can bluff my way into it. Okay, so Ponko is a profile here, meaning we can point her out. if asked about this subject. Okay, I'm gonna hit don't bluff. Worst case scenario, then, I'll just be booted back out and I'll have to loop through the cross-examination again, and I can come back to this and try bluffing. Or, if I say don't bluff, Phoenix will say, no, I have a good idea. And that'll lead into this Punko theory of mine, maybe. I guess I better wait and see how it goes. It's a clever theory, but it doesn't look like they have any solid proof. If I push, maybe I can uncover some flaws in it. Okay. Well, that tells me exactly what I need to know. I think I will bluff then.
Hold it!
I'll skip forward here.
Objection!
Bluff. I know exactly what Prosecutor Blackquill carried from the scene. Just have to find something else that was missing, right? No sweat. Oh, I'd be very interested in hearing your theory, if it's true, that is. This is a crime scene photo taken after Prosecutor Blackquill left, correct? Oh, wait, no, that cart. Oh, better idea. That's the same cart. It's the arm. Okay, well, it looks like I was barking up the right tree. It is Punko related. Huh. All we have to do is compare this with this photo of Prosecutor Blackquill to see what's missing. If he took something with him, then it should be in one of these photos. Lady Luck, don't fail me now. All right then, Mr. Wright, let us hear your theory. What did Prosecutor Blackquill take from the scene of the murder? Boop. Also, why is this robot arm bandage bloody? That's freakish.
Take that!
Please notice that there is a robot part on top of the cart in this photo. However, in this photo taken after the crime, the robot part is gone. In other words, this part is something that was taken from the scene of the crime. You do appear to be right. I don't see it in the second picture. But it's just a piece of junk. How important could it be? Is it really just an insignificant robot part? Speaking of which... What are you looking at? I'm gonna start charging for each glance per eyeball. Stingy. What happened to the age of free previews? Your Honor, about this robot part. Doesn't it look like it could be an arm from that robot there? Well, now that you mention it, it does, doesn't it? But the case is still too big to be practical for just the moon rock and a robot arm. But was it really just the one arm that was in there? If it wasn't Athena in the case, then maybe... I believe there was another robot at the scene that looked just like the one here. Your Honor, it is the defense's assertion that it was this other robot that was in the case. What?
Objection!
We can't be certain that part belonged to a robot. Yes, it looks like the arm of the one before us, but it could be something else entirely. Besides, it's wrapped entirely in bandaging, making it difficult to verify what it is.
Objection!
I know for a fact that it is a robot arm. I can even tell which robot it belonged to, just by looking at it. With this information, we can investigate whether it was there at the time or not. But, Mr. Wright, I thought you were more of the technologically illiterate type. When did you become such an expert? I feel somehow abandoned. Aw. It's sad when the judge is sad. Not to worry, Your Honor. I still know next to nothing about machines. But I know this piece of evidence proves which robot the arm belonged to. Where would it be? Yeah, there it is.
Take that!
The robot in this picture is named Ponko. But take a look at Ponko's arm. It was Miss Sykes who bandaged it up like that. She must have thought the machines heal in the same way that people do. What an adorable, naive mistake. It reminds me of my own grandchild. The robot arm at the crime scene had the same bandaging wrapped around it. In other words, this robot arm could belong to none other than Ponko. Order in the court. Order, I say. Prosecutor Edgeworth, what do you have to say to this? I concede that the robot is about the same size as a child, but it cannot grab its knees and curl itself up into a ball. Even if it was the largest of the cases, the robot couldn't have possibly fit in there. The case does seem to come up to about mid-thigh on Prosecutor Blackwell. I see your point. The robot is much taller than that. They've got me there. So then did Prosecutor Blackwell make Ponko fit in the case by... compacting or dismantling? I think dismantling would take too much time, make too much noise, and maybe even be beyond his skill level. I think compacting her makes a lot more sense. Couldn't he have crunched Ponko up and compacted her a bit? You know, kind of like when you suck the air out of those storage bags with a vacuum cleaner. Interesting theory. Why don't we conduct an experiment then? Detective Fulbright, could you please bring us a storage bag and a vacuum cleaner? Let's try to compact Mr. Wright here and see if we can't fit him in the rubbish bin. Ow! On second thought, let's just scrap the whole idea and start over, okay? Very well, but one man's trash is that same man's penalty. Yeah! Okay, dismantling her, fine. I thought it was clever. Of course Ponko would fit. All Prosecutor Blackwell had to do was dismantle her. Once taken apart, the robot could have easily fit inside that rolling case. It appears to be a robot assembly device.
Disassemble anything in a flash. Push the dismantle button. That sounds pretty neat. Can I push it, Mr. Nick?
It sounds rather violent, but Mr. Wright does have a point there.
Objection!
Except that there was a body on the table where robots are dismantled and assembled. There would have been no room to take the robot apart.
Objection!
But what if it wasn't done on the table? What if the katana was used instead? You mean the sword? Yes, Your Honor. Miss Blackwell, I'd like your opinion as a woman of science. Isn't it true that the katana could have been used to take the robot apart?
I suppose so. Their joints aren't made of a very tough material. A blade could slice through them.
Thank you for your expert opinion, Miss Blackwell. Thanks to you, we now know that the existence of the severed arm in this photo proves that Ponko was taken apart. Oh, could that be where the blood came from? The bloody katana did it? In addition, since the rest of Ponko was not found at the scene, we can conclude that the true meaning of this photo is very different from the original interpretation. You can't mean? That's exactly what I mean. This photo does not capture the moment of the murder. It is instead a picture of the moment after the robot was sliced apart. The blood you see where the arm was cut off was transferred there by the bloody katana. Most likely, the rest of Ponko is scattered around Prosecutor Blackwell's feet.
Not hearing this.
Therefore, what was transported inside that case was not the defendant, but a robot. Miss Sykes never was at the scene at the time of the murder. Whoa, don't lose your head.
My head, my body, where am I? Gah!
Order? Order in the court.
It's true that Ponko was found in pieces after the murder, and I'll admit I repaired her myself afterwards.
Yes, I'm finally making some progress. Hopefully I've gotten at least one step closer to proving both Athena and Prosecutor Blackwell innocent.
Objection!
Uh-oh. Well played, Mr. Wright. You've made your point abundantly clear. I concede that it wasn't the defendant inside the rolling case, but the robot. All right. What's going on here? It's never good when he plays things this straight. Does the prosecution withdraw its claim that the defendant was carried from the scene? No, Your Honor. My claim hasn't changed.
Objection!
But Ponko and Miss Sykes couldn't have both been inside that case.
Objection!
The notion that the case was used to carry Miss Sykes was Miss Blackwell's theory. I have been of a different opinion from the outset. Now I finally have the opportunity to voice my theory. Thanks to the defense. Edgeworth, he's been one step ahead of me this whole time. In that case, how do you propose the defendant left the crime scene? Simple. The footage only shows Prosecutor Blackwell from behind. What's more, he's holding his arm in front of his body, as if he were holding something or someone. That's hardly evidence. I have proof. The surcoat Prosecutor Blackwell was wearing. The victim's blood was found on the front of it, and the stain had a highly distinctive shape. A blood stain with a distinctive shape. Please continue, Prosecutor Edgeworth. 7 years ago, the defendant was known to constantly wear a certain item, of which there is only one in the world, a special pair of headphones made just for her.
She always wore those big, heavy-looking headphones. She said her mother made them for her as part of her research.
Analysis showed the bloodstain to be in the exact same shape as these headphones. In other words, this was no mere blood splatter. The blood went from the victim's body to the headphones and then was imprinted onto Prosecutor Blackwell's coat like a stamp. A most gruesome stamp indeed. Blackwell carried Miss Sykes, who had been hit by splatter, away from the crime scene. This proves that Athena Sykes was, without question, present at the crime scene. And that concludes the prosecution's argument. Yeah! Order. If the defendant was indeed at the scene, it deepens the suspicion against her.
Objection!
But we've also shown that the robot was there at the scene as well.
Objection!
I hope you're not making the ridiculous claim that a simple robot was the real murderer. I don't really think that, no, but you can't say the possibility isn't there. Detective Fulbright, was the robot questioned at the time? No, I don't see any record of it. I believe it was considered unrelated to the case. But as it turned out, the robot was actually integrally related. Your Honor, the defense would like to call Ponko to the stand. A robot witness? Order? Order in the court. Prosecutor Edgeworth, what do you think of this? Mr. Wright has called all manner of witnesses to the stand over the years. So why not a robot? Nothing surprises me anymore with him. Very well, I will allow the witness. Bailiff, please summon the robot named Ponko. Witness, please state your name and occupation.
My name is not Witness. My name is Ponko.
Yes, I realize that, but when you are at the witness stand, you are the witness.
No, I'm not. I'm Ponko. Say it with me. Ponko.
But an utterly inflexible little robot. You're the last person who should be calling anybody inflexible. Oh, you remind me of my grandchild who just learned his own name. Oh, how precious. All right, Ponko, I'm going to ask you some questions.
Questions? You have questions? Hooray! What are your questions?
I want to know if you were there at the scene of the murder of Metis Sykes. It was 7 years ago on the 7th of October around 2 p.m. in the robotics lab.
Certainly. Just one moment. Searching data. Search complete? Yes, I was there in the robotics lab.
It would seem this robot's testimony is necessary to this case after all. This is great. I just knew Ponko must have seen something important. A murder committed right before this poor little girl's eyes. It's inexcusable. The judge seems ready to adopt Ponko as another grandchild. So, little Ponko, do you think you can give us your testimony today?
I went to the robotics lab at about 2 p.m. for my regular recharge.
Is that true? What's the regular time? We noted down the regular time they did that stuff, right? I swear it was mentioned, but maybe it's not in the court record. I don't think we have it. Huh.
Just as I was about to charge up, Athena came in and hugged Mommy Metis. And then Mommy Metis fell down. After that, I was recharging, so I don't know anything. After I charged up, I was cleaning the room, and Mr. Simon came in. And then an error occurred. There is no data after that point.
Well, it sounds like the defendant was, without question, at the scene. However, it doesn't appear that the witness saw the actual moment of the murder. I disagree. This testimony shows that the defendant did indeed commit the crime. What? At the end of the day, we mustn't forget that this witness is still a machine. Being a robot, its understanding and capacity to express itself are limited. So what are you suggesting? The witness's statements need to be interpreted. For example, the terms hugged and then later fell down. Adults don't usually fall down after being hugged by a child. They don't, but... Yes, what this witness's statements are telling us is that the defendant stabbed the victim with the murder weapon during this moment.
What?
Before Miss Sykes hugged Dr. Sykes, did the two of them converse?
Yes, they did. They spoke to each other very loudly, but I don't know what they said. Athena is usually so quiet, so I was surprised.
Spoke very loudly. We can interpret this to mean they argued. I see. Murder after a heated argument, and then the victim fell down. I agree that it does sound like a reasonable interpretation. However, Ponko doesn't seem to remember anything that happened after that.
When I am recharging, I go into sleep mode. But I remember everything before that. I have a very good memory.
You may as well admit defeat now, Wright. A cross-examination would be useless. Don't be ridiculous. A cross-examination is never useless. Until now. Think about it. Robots don't lie. This robot is both an important witness and valuable evidence at the same time. Nevertheless, I will have my cross-examination. I see you haven't changed. You never were one to worry about wasting time. Very well. Even if it may be a waste of time, you may proceed, Mr. Wright. I'll show you both just how fruitful any cross-examination can be.
I went to the robotics lab at about 2 p.m. for my regular recharge.
Hold it!
Your regular recharge? What is that exactly?
I have to refill my battery's power or else I stop working. I go to the lab to do that.
So that recharge occurred around 2 p.m., around the time of the murder.
That's right. I go every day at 2 p.m. Just as I was about to charge up, Athena came in and hugged Mommy Metis.
Hold it!
Hugged her, huh? Which Edgeworth took to mean stabbed her with a weapon. You said the two of them were talking before Miss Sykes hugged her mother, is that right?
Yes, they were talking very loudly, but I couldn't tell what they were saying.
Couldn't tell? Even though they were speaking so loudly?
I'm only allowed to listen to voices that are directed at me.
If it listened to every voice, it would be little better than a mobile eavesdropper. Well, that explains why some of Ponko's testimony is so vague. It's a shame that our little friend wasn't listening in, however. We could have learned what they were talking about just before Dr. Sykes was killed. Now then, what happened after that? You know, there's a possibility they could have been speaking loudly over, like, the loud sounds of whirring machinery or something like that. There's lots of reasons to talk loudly other than arguing.
And then Mommy Metis fell down. After that, I was recharging, so I don't know anything.
Hold it!
I don't want to delve too deeply here, but could you tell us how the victim appeared and acted at this moment?
Mommy Metis was very surprised when she was hugged. I heard her heart pound.
Her heart? Mr. Wright, have you forgotten about this document we found in the robotics lab? These robots have a heartbeat detection system. Now that he mentions it, I do remember reading something like that before. They detect the presence of people by the sound of their heartbeats. But wait a minute. That means if Dr. Sykes really did die at this moment... Ponko, how was Dr. Sykes after she fell down? Could you still hear the sound of her heartbeat?
Let's see. The moment she fell, her heart was pounding. After that, I don't know. I started recharging just then.
Of all the unlucky timing, if you had heard anything after that... Yeah, the autopsy report says that her death was instantaneous. It could have possibly proved that the hug wasn't actually the moment of the murder.
I'm very sorry. I'm afraid I don't know. I'm very sorry.
The robot is designed to go into sleep mode automatically, so it can't be helped. But it does appear it detected an increased heart rate at the moment of the stabbing.
After Mommy Meatus's heart started pounding in surprise, she fell by the window. It was the round window on the workbench side of the room.
Oh. Do we have a photo of the modern crime scene? Shoot, where was the other photo? Hello? Wasn't there a photo of a chalk outline? No, maybe I'm thinking of something else. The workbench, huh? Ponko must be talking about that table to the right of where the giant robot is now. Is there something critical in Ponko's statement just now? Yeah, there is something. How'd the body move over to the table, the chair on the left? Your Honor, I believe this statement is critical. I'd like it added to her testimony. Very well. Ponko, could you please add that statement to your testimony? That's a good little girl.
Mommy Meatus fell down near the round window on the workbench side of the room.
Hold it!
Let's see. There are 2 round windows in the robotics lab. Which one did you mean?
The one on the right near the hanging scroll. That hanging scroll was Mommy Meatus's prized possession.
With the crane on it, that's right. Okay, in the pictures of the crime scene from 7 years ago, there is definitely a hanging scroll and a Japanese theater mask hanging on the workbench side wall. But is there some problem with this statement? Yeah, there's no blood on the floor there.
After I charged up, I was cleaning the room and Mr. Simon came in.
Hold it!
Prosecutor Blackquill. I wonder what he went there for.
His objective? I don't know.
I guess I can't very well ask Ponko to speculate. So what happened after Prosecutor Blackquill arrived?
And then an error occurred. There is no data after that point.
Hold it!
You don't remember what happened next? An error, huh? I wonder if...
All data is suddenly cut off at that point. I don't know anything after that.
The answer to that question is right here. According to the defense's theory, this photo shows when the robot was being taken apart. Exactly. We can conclude that Ponko's error was the result of her being dismantled. Indeed. The bodies of these robots are designed to be controlled remotely by a separate computer. Yes, that's basically what Miss Blackquill explained to us too. She said their hearts and memories are stored on a separate computer. When the witness was taken apart, she lost the use of her body, but not her memories. That's how she is now still able to give testimony about the events of that day. Fascinating. It's as if she can be seriously wounded, but her soul still burns. There are a few parts of Ponko's testimony that are hard to interpret. Edgeworth chose to interpret hugged as stabbed. But I better try to iron out who did what, where, and to whom for myself. Hold on, Athena. I'm going to save you. Okay. Mommy Meatus fell down near the round window on the workbench side of the room. Okay. Yeah, so how then? Oh, there's the photo I was talking about. Okay. How then did the body move, and why is there no blood stain on that part of the floor?
Objection!
Ponko, your statement may have just inspired a breakthrough.
I was helpful? Hooray! I'm so happy.
Just to be sure, let's go over it again, okay? The victim fell near the window on the workbench side of the room. However, her body was discovered on the operating table. But the operating table and the workbench are two different locations. Exactly, Your Honor. We've just learned a new crucial fact. What could explain the two very different locations of the body? I'll tell you what. The victim moved. Yeah. The defendant moved the body doesn't make much sense to me. That would just make things worse for Athena. The victim moved. She was still alive. An 11-year-old girl couldn't have moved the heavy body of an adult. I don't know. I mean, they'd have some trouble getting it up into the chair, definitely, but... So the only explanation is that the victim walked to the operating table herself. In other words, what Ponko observed near the workbench couldn't possibly have been the moment of the murder. Phew, I am very relieved to hear that. Glad to know that the murder wasn't committed in front of little Ponko here. Yes, as we just heard in the testimony, Miss Sykes hugged her mother, nothing more.
Objection!
Right. It's been 8 years, but you're still just as green as ever. Green? But I can't recall ever seeing Mr. Wright in anything but a blue suit. Did he forget about Ace Attorney 4? Hey, blue's my favorite color, what can I say? If the defendant couldn't move the body herself, she could have had it moved for her. Moved for her? But Miss Sykes and Dr. Sykes were the only ones there. I agree. Since this robot is equipped with a heartbeat detection system, it would have been aware of another person's presence if someone else had been there. We can therefore conclude that the defendant and the victim were the only ones present. Then who do you suggest moved the body? Don't you know it's in the nature of a robot to help people do things? Miss Panko, allow me to ask you a question. Panko?
My name is Ponko. Say it with me, Ponko.
I believe you said you were cleaning after Dr. Sykes fell down. Did you happen to move something large onto the operating table? Oh, shit.
Yes, I did. Athena asked me to.
Ah, shit! Athena asked you to. And what did you move, little Ponko?
I don't know. Unless something has an ID tag, I can't tell what it is.
An ID tag, you say?
Yes, a tag with a barcode on it. We robots scan them to tell us what a thing is.
Huh. That paper in the lab did mention something about that. Recognizes people by scanning their spacesuit or uniform jacket ID tag, it said. So it would appear that Miss Ponko here can't identify what it moved.
My name is Ponko.
But we humans have the power to imagine what it was, do we not? He's just ignoring her. We do. Well, I do at the very least. Miss Panko, on the defendant's command, move the body onto the operating table. Yeah! Ponko, did you really move Dr. Sykes' body? This is really important. Isn't there any way you could tell?
I don't know. Without an ID tag, I can't tell.
Give it up, Wright. If the victim's heart was stopped, the robot's detection system would be useless. Furthermore, Dr. Sykes usually wore her white coat while she was working. She kept the jacket with her ID tag on it draped over a chair in the robotics lab, and only wore it for special occasions. In other words, the victim wasn't wearing her ID tag at the time. From the robot's point of view, her body was simply just another object.
Objection!
But Ponko is equipped with a facial recognition system. If she really did move the victim, she would have recognized the body as Dr. Sykes. But she didn't, so that means...
Objection!
A face can easily be covered with a piece of cloth, a mask, or anything else for that matter. With her facial features hidden, the robot wouldn't be able to tell it was Dr. Sykes. He's right. I'm suddenly not liking the looks of that white cloth on the floor near the operating table. To summarize, Miss Sykes stabbed her mother near the workbench. Then, using the robot, she moved the body to the table, where she removed the sword and was stained in blood. Order? But if that's the case, then I have a question. Why did the defendant move the body to the operating table in the first place? You want a reason? Very well. What? You can't possibly have an explanation. Your emotions blind you to the truth. You could learn a lot from our robot friends. Calm and rational thought will open your eyes to the truth in front of you, Mr. Wright. Now then, do you remember the operating table's one special feature? I believe I read that robots can be assembled and disassembled there, isn't that right? That's right. And to the defendant, who was just a child at the time, the table was like a magic box that could make robots appear or disappear in seconds. But in the end, my mom just put her on the operating table and fixed her in a flash. I was so impressed by what my mom did. I even asked her if she would put me on the table and fix me if I ever got hurt. It looked just like magic to me what she could do. You can't possibly be suggesting... This young, sheltered girl had a difficult time distinguishing robots from people. But take a close look at Ponko's arm. It was Miss Sykes who bandaged it up like that. She must have thought that machines heal in the same way that people do. What an adorable, naive mistake. It reminds me of my own grandchild. No way. I refuse to believe it. Miss Sykes made a childish, naive, and cruel mistake. She thought that if a robot could be dismantled and vanished without a trace... Prosecutor Edgeworth, if you're about to claim what I think you are, I demand that you word it as delicately as you can. With all due respect, Your Honor, all I can do is present the truth as it stands. The reason the defendant moved the victim's body to the operating table...
Hold it!
No, don't say another word, just stop. Was to dismantle the evidence so that she could get away with her crime. That can't be true. Well, clearly she didn't, I mean, the body was not mutilated in any way. The police found it intact. Like, come on. Order? Order in the court. Order in the court, I say. Edgeworth, she was just a little kid. How can you say such a horrible thing? Horrible? Like I said, you're just as green as ever. I came here today as a prosecutor to seek only the truth, no more, no less. My theory is simply the result of a rational consideration of every possibility.
Objection!
But dismantling isn't the table's only function. It can make repairs as well. It's conceivable that Miss Sykes moved her mother to the table in order to fix her. I suppose that could be another way of interpreting it. But dismantle or repair, it doesn't matter either way. What do you mean? After murdering her mother, Miss Sykes may have come to her senses. Perhaps she did want to make it appear as if it had never happened. And that's why she tried to repair her mother. Yes, that's one possible explanation. But we mustn't forget that the facts of this case. The victim was observed to fall down after being hugged by the defendant, and the body was moved per the defendant's command. These two facts that indicate the defendant's guilt, remain unchanged. This just can't be true. Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence to refute the prosecution's claim? Evidence? Right, let's see. I can't think of any. I'm afraid I don't have any evidence. Since becoming chief prosecutor, I've learned that the truth isn't always pretty. Now accept the truth, Mr. Wright. Your subordinate murdered her own mother. Your Honor, the prosecution demands a verdict. The hostages have suffered enough. What a terrible and tragic conclusion. If the defense has no counter-argument, I see no need to further prolong this trial. Edgeworth's argument seems solid enough, but there's no way Athena could have ever done anything like that. What do I do? There has to be something, but I can't think of a single thing. I knew it! I knew it. My thoughts were turning to him. After all, Blackquill was eager to be the one found guilty here. Oh, hell. Prosecutor Blackquill. This is quite the farce you're conducting here. I would die from laughter. Prosecutor Blackquill, what are you talking about? What I'm talking about is that your argument is based on an entirely false premise. Go on, we're listening. Could this be the miracle I need? What is Prosecutor Blackquill trying to pull here? "7 years. For 7 long years. This case has been on my mind. Not for an instant did I not think of it. I'm the one who killed my mentor, and don't think you can alter that fact now. Your baldness I will take to the stand, and I won't take no for an answer." Of course, Prosecutor Blackquill. Please go ahead. Good. I was waiting for this. Okay. Oh, damn. I have been waiting for this chance to start poking holes in his account. God, I feel like the only reason he'd ever want to cover for someone is if there's only 2 people I think he would want to defend, to sacrifice his own life to defend. His sister Ara and poor little Athena. It could be true that he's being blackmailed somehow, but I don't know, I feel like this is truly selfless from the ground up. Maybe, I don't know. Well, I do appreciate Edgeworth being brutally honest. Emphasis on brutal. sometimes the truth is ugly. Edgeworth is the sort to go marching unrelentingly towards the truth, whatever he feels it may be. But he's also the sort to, well, if he detects even a trace, a hint of a molecule of truth, he'll latch onto it. So if we can get something going here, if we can get the ball rolling by cross-examining Blackquill here, he'll swing to our side, I just know it. He's that sort of person. Oh, this does feel dire. Oh my god. Yeah, I kinda wish Phoenix could say, but the police found the body unmutilated. What stopped Athena from pressing the fix-it button or any other button on that console to make the machines whir to life? I suppose that could be countered by just saying, Athena thought the chair was magic. Just by being in the chair you could be fixed or dismantled. Oh, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I still think I have something going with this theory about the emergency escape ladder, but at the same time, it goes right in front of a window. You'd think there would be someone who'd see through it and see someone climbing up or down. And for that matter, okay, so now, rewinding, if a mystery assailant was climbing in to murder Dr. Metis through the emergency ladder, that would necessitate the emergency ladder being opened and thrown out the window in the first place. Which doesn't make sense to me, so maybe I can put a pin in that theory for now. Well, at any rate, we're in for an extremely exciting time next time, huh? In the meantime, I'm Zephyr the Jester. This has been more Dual Destinies. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll catch you next time, so until then, please take care.